officers were allowed to ask questions and express their views on how constituency work can be improved. The research fair also had an exhibition area where cooperating partners displayed various resource information. The first Deputy Speaker, Madam Malungo Chisangano MP, took time to tour the exhibition area, which she described as resourceful.
It's up to the members of Parliament to start using what we have as Parliament, and also looking at the other organizations. They've done a lot of research. Look at the first stand that I saw, Zipper, where they are doing a lot of research on issues that are of great importance to Parliament. When you talk about the budget, I think they are on top of things. So we hope that our members of Parliament can seriously work with these organizations so that even when they come to the floor of the House, they are well equipped with information that they can use to debate and inform the public about better issues and better things that are seen in the budget. I think it will help the members of Parliament a lot.
And some members of Parliament also visited the exhibition area.
I think it's quite an important one, because it will help now the constituency offices together with the members of Parliament to be able to access credible information and to iron out the gaps which used to be there, which used to hinder most of members to get credible information, and also to help the peers in offices and AAs in the offices to be able to access the information.
It is an initiative that is going to shape the access of information by members of Parliament, and it is going to enable them make informed decisions as they serve our people. I personally have benefited a lot. It will not only shape my debate, but it will also help me get information from my constituents' office on time.
I want to begin by recommending National Assembly. I think these are some of the changes that we are witnessing with National Assembly with regard to its new strategic plan, which is also bringing everyone closer to National Assembly. So this year's research fair, I think it has been exceptional in the sense that it's not only targeting members of Parliament, it has also targeted our professional assistants.
For any nation to develop, there is need for enhanced data collection. And this data is going to be utilized to monitor the progress made in any of the economic targets that the country has set.
This aspect of parliamentary practice for a very long time was missing at the National Assembly. So I would like to believe that in an attempt to reform, to try and make Parliament more relevant, and to try and capacitate or increase the ability of members of Parliament to make objective debates, to discuss in their communities, work that is based on evidence, as they call it in research. It was very necessary that this sort of thing is organized.
Constituency officers appreciated the information acquired from the research fair.
And this fair, I've learned a lot and I've gained knowledge which I'll use in the constituency office. As a constituency office, it will help me do the research, because we learned some of the tools which we can use in collecting data in our offices, so that we can help our area member of Parliament to do the work for them as we will do the research.
I would like to thank our management, the National Assembly management, for providing us this opportunity that we may learn 1, 2, 3 things from this fair. For me, I was so interested in the part where a lot of information has been shared on us on how we can collect data which can help our members of Parliament as they'll be doing debates in Parliament to have a factual information so that they can enhance effective and truthful debates in the floor of the House.
I would like to really thank the organizers, which is the Research Department of the National Assembly, for making it possible for us to come and attend this research fair. It has really enhanced our knowledge in our execution of work at the constituency office, and we will we will provide quality information to the members of Parliament, which they will in turn present to Parliament. To the sponsors of the research fair also, we would really want to appreciate them very, very much. What they have done is they have enhanced our capacity to handle research issues at the constituency office.
It has been so good and have benefited in so many areas. This program, the research fair, it will help our constituency officers to have full match data, which we are going to be sharing with our members of parliament. Even when they'll be debating in the chamber, they'll have full information, the first-hand information.
This year's research fair was characterized with an inclusion of constituency officers, a masterclass, a symposium, and a resourceful exhibition by some cooperating partners such as Oxfam, Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research ZIPA, Civil Society for Poverty Reduction CSPR, World Bank, and the United Nations.
On Parliament television, as we'll be having live parliamentary proceedings taking the air at 14:30 hours. I'm Claudette Gaza.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. And also on live commentary, my name is Joe Akatama, and we're joined by our two sign language interpreters, Shola Kauma and Jason Manda.
All right, time now to look at business that was considered on the floor of the House last week on Friday, the 1st of December 2023. Madam First Deputy Speaker did make an announcement in which she recognized the presence in the public gallery of parliamentary constituency office staff. Madam First Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
And three matters of urgent public importance were raised under Standing Orders 134. The first one came from Dr. Aaron Mwanza, who is a Kaumbwe Member of Parliament, under the subject matter on the need to acquaint citizens with the preventive measures of lightning strikes during the 2023-2024 rain season, and this one was not admitted. So the second one came from Wengwa, Member of Parliament, Mr. Mijelo Kasauta, under the subject matter on the debt crisis in the country. This one was equally not admitted. The last one came from Dr. Christopher Kadila, who is a Lukulu Eastern Member of Parliament, under the subject matter on why the National Assembly did not make a statement in joining the rest of the world in commemorating World AIDS Day. So this one was equally not admitted.
All right, and so after consideration of those matters of urgent public importance, the House considered question for oral answer number 155, understanding order number 74, and there was also consideration of the marriage bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023, which was read the third time. Thereafter, the House resolved into Committee of Supply to consider estimates of revenue and expenditure and consider the following heads. The first one was head 87, that's the Anti-Corruption Commission, which was agreed to.
And the second one was Head 78, which is Zambia Security Intelligence Service, and the total budgetary allocation towards this particular head, which is Head 78, is 1,630,972,680 kwacha. So this one was agreed to stand as part of the estimates. So Head 85, which is the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the total budgetary allocation towards this particular head is 278,038,837. So this one was agreed to stand part of the estimate.
And so Head 45, that's the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, is still under consideration. It being 12:55 hours, the chairperson interrupted the proceedings and committee work stood adjourned. And on the floor of the House, adding her voice to this particular head was Chikankata MP Ms. Sabao. Madam's First Deputy Speaker adjourned the House last week on Friday at 12:57 hours. That's it. That's the business that was considered on the floor of the House. Join us after this break for more.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Good afternoon. We're standing by for the resumption of business at 14:30 hours. But before then, we'll have a quick look at what we have in store for you in terms of what is going to be considered on the floor of the House. Today, Tuesday, 5th December 2023, the House is expected to consider two questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 26. And the first question is going to come from Mr. Nyambose of Cassava constituency. He is expected to ask the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation a question in two parts: whether the government is aware that the contractor that was assigned to sink 80 boreholes in Cassava district has abandoned the works, thereby subjecting 10 schools and 4 health posts to operate without proper water supply. And the other question is what urgent measures, that is, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to ensure that the project is completed on time to prevent waterborne diseases in the affected areas.
And question 157 will come from Mr. Chewe Kawe, who is the Lubansesha Member of Parliament, and is directed this question to the Minister of Agriculture. He wants to find out in 3 parts. In A, whether the government is aware of the outbreak of cassava brown stick disease in Luwingu, Lupososhi, Chiluvi, and other districts. In B, if so, what are the cause of the disease is, and what urgent measures are being taken to combat the disease and prevent hunger in the affected areas.
Right, so those are the two questions that will be considered on the floor of the House under Standing Order number 76, and thereafter we do expect Pambashe Member of Parliament, Mr. Stotela, to move a motion titled adopt reports of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, that this House to adopt the report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, on the report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce instances of child labor in Zambia for the period 2018 to 2022 for the 3rd session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 28th November 2023.
And the House is also expected to consider 2 bills at different stages. The first one is the Defense Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023, to be considered at committee stage. And the second one is the Marriage Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023. This one will be considered at 3rd reading.
And so after consideration of those bills, we expect the House to resolve into Committee of Supply to consider estimates of revenue and expenditure for the following heads. That's Head 45, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services; Head 68, Ministry of Tourism; Head 89, Ministry of Agriculture.
And head 76, which is Ministry of Youth and Sports Arts. Head 66, Ministry of Technology and Science. And head 80, which is the Ministry of Education. So these are the heads which are expected to be considered on the floor of the House today, 5th of December 2023.
And that will certainly mark today's proceedings after those heads have been considered. Remember, the House is expected to consider 2 questions for oral answer, understanding order number 74. We expect Mr. Shtotel of Pambashi constituency to move a motion titled Adopt the Report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, and of course consideration of 2 government bills at committee stage and 3rd reading stage, and of course the House resolving into Committee of Supply. Just now we take you to the floor of the House for commencement of business. Good afternoon.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
And dancing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us, all our people, join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Order. Honorable members, I have an announcement to make. Honorable members have received communication to the effect that in the absence of our Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani MP, has been appointed acting lead of government business in the House from today, 5th December 2023, until further notice. I thank you. We make progress. Matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Mpika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to raise a matter of urgent public importance pursuant to Standing Order number 134. Madam Speaker, in Mkungule Chiefdom of Mpika District, there are 3 communities, namely Kaluba, Lushinga, and Chipundu. In these communities, our people depend on cassava. However, Madam Speaker, wild animals, particularly elephants, have invaded their cassava fields. They have grazed everything, thereby inducing a very bad hunger situation in the area. Madam Speaker, our people have no food. I therefore direct this matter of urgent public importance to the acting leader of government business in the House, that our people need urgent relief food. Urgent relief food, Madam Speaker, or our people will start dying of hunger. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Mpika. What I've clearly heard is that you are requesting for relief food. I don't know whether you've started the procedure that is lined up for you from your community, from your constituency, to ask for relief food from DMMU.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The process has already been commenced with the District Disaster Committee, and it has taken a bit of some time, which is so worrisome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it possible that the Honorable Member from Mpika could make a follow-up with the Office of the Vice President?
I have, Madam Speaker.
Instead of waiting for a question to come to this House, I think here you have to be proactive, Honorable Member, so that your people could receive relief food.
All those efforts, Madam Speaker, have been done.
Well, I think I would advise you again. I'm sure the office, the DMMU office, they are listening. Can you please engage them before we close next week on Wednesday, so that as you go back to your constituency, you have a feedback for your people? Kindly engage the office for DMMU. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 156 constituencies. Zambia has 106 constituencies, and the flagship for UPND government, it's enhanced CDF funds. Madam Speaker, in the last 1 year or so, the project's approval is done in a good time. Now, the biggest problem we have as a country is the Attorney General's office, and my matter goes direct to the Minister of Justice. Madam Speaker, is there an explanation why to approve a contract, which is a standard contract, should be taking a month or 2 or 3. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker, on this one.
The Honorable Member for Nyimba, that question is that matter is very important, but it's not a matter that has just happened. I would advise the Honorable Member for Nyimba to raise a question. Raise a question so that the Honorable Minister for Local Government will come and respond. Otherwise, it does not qualify under urgent matter for public importance. It's something that has been ongoing. You mentioned that you've received the CDF, I think, for the past 1 year, but the problem has been there. So please, can you raise a question so that the minister could come and respond to you? The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to raise this matter of urgent public importance with a very heavy heart and full of tears in my eyes, and knowing very well, Madam Speaker, that the happenings in Chingola actually leaves a lot of devastation in our hearts as Zambians. Madam Speaker, I am aware that government is doing everything possible to ensure that they rescue or retrieve our colleagues who actually were buried alive in that mining open pit area. Madam Speaker, as a Member of Parliament for Ron constituency, I am raising this matter of urgent public importance towards the leader of government business in this House. I have been receiving calls. I was in the constituency and I came back last night, Madam Speaker, and the 6 families are affected by what is happening in Chingola, meaning that we have also been affected as a constituency with 6 lives that are feared dead or feared trapped. Madam Speaker, the families are constantly calling me to find out what is the position of the government, of course knowing very well that the government is doing everything possible, but they want to know what is the position of government because the families have been told not to gather as a funeral until the bodies are retrieved. But meanwhile, closer relatives, Madam Speaker, have gathered in respective homes and they're asking me as a Member of Parliament to provide some relief in terms of food and other upkeep. Madam Speaker, I want to know and seek your guidance as to what answers I can give to the affected families. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Member, is it in terms of relief food or what exactly do you want the government to do?
Madam Speaker, as I've said, that government is doing everything possible, but at the moment, because no bodies has been retrieved, family members have gathered at their respective homes, and what they are saying is, Pafidiro tapajina ngufimo, meaning they want to eat as they are waiting for government support or government direction. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The acting leader of government business, would you have a word on this issue? No, the update is there. I think they keep on updating the nation. Even the president has gone there, and I've been seeing on TV the updates every now and then. But it's the issue of relief food that you are talking about, because the update is there. Is the government providing any food to the victims or the concerned families as they wait for the bodies or the people to be recovered from the mines?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Honourable Member. We have raised that question for clarification. My answer is that I seek leave that I get a briefing from those who have gone on the ground, and I'll be able to advise in due course. I thank you.
Thank you. Is it possible that you can come back on Friday? Thank you. So the Honorable Minister or the acting leader of government business will come and give us an update on Friday. We make progress. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Agriculture to make a ministerial statement.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to present a ministerial statement in order to clarify a few issues on the distribution of
Order,
farming.
honorable members, order. This is a very important topic. Can we please pay attention as the Zambians also are listening outside? You may proceed, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I started by thanking you for giving me this opportunity to present a ministerial statement in order to clarify a few issues on the distribution of farming inputs under the Farmer Input Support Program for the 2023-2024 farming season. Since the commencement of the distribution of inputs, a few issues have been raised regarding the exercise. These include, Madam Speaker, sharing of input packs by some beneficiaries. 2, finalization of the fertilizer distribution. 3, status of redemption by inputs by farmers. 4, agro dealers. 5, minor differences in farming inputs received. And 6, beneficiaries receiving other types of seed in addition to maize seed. Madam Speaker, the issues have been well noted by the Ministry, and allow me to address them one by one. Number 1, the sharing of input packs by beneficiaries. Madam Speaker, the Farmer Input Support Program is providing support to a total of 1,024,434 farmers across the country. And the allocation per province is as follows. The Central Province has, I'll round them off to the best 3 figures. The Central Province has 163,000 farmers. Copper Belt Province has 94,000 farmers. Eastern Province has 195,000 farmers. Luapula has 62,000 farmers. Lusaka has 59,000 farmers. Mchinga has 65,000 farmers. Northern has 98,000 beneficiaries. Northwestern has 68,000 beneficiaries. Southern Province has 184,000 beneficiaries. And the Western Province has 38,000 farmers. This gives us a total of 1,024,434. Madam Speaker, I wish to be categorical, very categorical, by informing the House that the sharing of inputs by farmers has no blessing from government, as it is detrimental to achieving optimal production levels and national food security. We don't support it whatsoever, Madam Speaker. Recognizing, however, the need to cater for farmers that might not be on FISIP, government has come up with other interventions that will provide access to farming inputs. Notable among these interventions is the famous and very powerful credit window, which is an initiative to provide financing to farmers, including those who are underserved in their groups. Number 2, finalization of fertilizer distribution. Madam Speaker, government procured a total of 240,760.5 metric tons of fertilizer for the 2023-2024 farming season for Eastern, Southern, Northern, Luapula, Mchinga, Western, Copperbelt, Northwestern provinces, which are under the direct input supply modality. For sake of clarity, there are 2 provinces which are not on the direct input supply modality, and this is Lusaka and Central Province. So they are not included for this fertilizer we procured. Madam Speaker, I can confirm that as of today, which is the 5th of December 2023, the fertilizer distribution for both Compound D and urea still remains at 100%. 100%. Total delivery to all provinces for both fertilizer and seed. Assertions that the fertilizer distribution has been delayed and are therefore not true and meant to mislead the members of the public. Number 3, the status of redemption of inputs by farmers under the e-voucher modality. Madam Speaker, 6 districts in Lusaka, 11 districts in Central Province, respectively, are under the e-voucher modality. The targeted beneficiaries under the modality, in terms of number, is 221,899 beneficiaries. So far, the number of farmers who have collected their inputs after depositing their contribution, Madam Speaker, is 220,413, which represents a good 99.33% success rate. Number 4, agro-dealers. On the issue of the agro-dealers, I wish to inform the House that the country, through the National Input Supply System, has designated agro-dealers throughout the country in close proximity to the farmers. Government, Madam Speaker, wants to promote the development of the sector through encouraging more agro-dealers to commence operations in all parts of the country. I will repeat this, Madam Speaker. Government wants to promote the development of the sector through encouraging more agro-dealers to commence operations in all parts of the country. This will support the transition to a 100% e-voucher modality. We are all aware we are in this transition, so we want to have as many agro-dealers as possible. Number 6, Madam Speaker, the type of farming inputs received. Madam Speaker, the package under the direct input supply and e-voucher modality consists the following. Number 1, 3 bags of compound D fertilizer. Number 2, 3 bags of urea. Number 3, 1 by 10 kg bag of maize. And number 4, 1 by 20 kg bag of groundnuts, or 1 by 25 kg bag of soybeans, or 1 by 12.5 kg of rice, or 1 by 5 kg of sunflower, or 1 by 10 kg bag of cowpea, or 1 by 20 kg bag of common beans, or indeed, and final, 1 by 10 kg bag of sorghum. Madam Speaker, regarding the issue that was raised by some farmers that other farmers received 4 bags of compound D and 4 bags of urea, the House may wish to note that the farmers that received the 8 bags plus seed are those that were supported under the agricultural credit window during the 2022-2023 farming season. The farmers had paid, Madam Speaker, a 5,000 kwacha to access inputs during that season, but did not collect the inputs. Number 7, beneficiaries receiving other types of seed in addition to maize seed. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that at the beginning of the input distribution, the e-voucher modality in Lusaka and Central Province had some flexibility regarding the type of inputs that farmers could redeem. However, this has been stopped as a show of responsibility by government to ensure that farmers get the right seed and that national food security is not compromised. I also wish to add that the flexibility under the e-voucher modality was meant to provide crop diversification. Going forward, Madam Speaker, government will continue to introduce other types of crop under the pack to enhance diversification and reduce risks associated with monocropping. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to reiterate that government has unwavering commitment to a food-secure Zambia. In this regard, we will continue improving our farmer support services, which are in no way limited to FISIP, but cover other areas such as mechanization, irrigation, extension services, and others, including processing. I also wish to take this opportunity to urge our farmers who may require clarification on a number of issues to seek guidance or help from our district agricultural officers. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. The Honorable Member for Bwacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. And Minister, thank you very much for that statement. Minister, I just want to find out, I think even yourself, as a minister of that ministry, I think you have seen that complaints, even challenges in the distribution of fertilizer, they've been coming even on the floor of the House from both ends, the right of the Speaker and also the left of the Speaker. And today, in your statement, you're talking about 100%, 98%, 90%, and other percentages. My question, Madam Speaker, is, Minister, why do you think a number of people out there, including members of parliament in this House, have continued to lament about the distribution of fertilizer for 2023-2024 farming season? Why do you think this has continued? And your statements usually are at variance with what is happening on the ground out there. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm so grateful that my brother, Honorable Sidney, has raised this question. Madam Speaker, if there was a year that the country should have been saying, well, at least we have shifted from a bad past to a new order, it should have been this year. Yeah. But if people choose, that will not happen. And I'll give a practical example. You will excuse me. Last week, Honorable Chitotela stood in this House and said that our distribution of fertilizer was not only pathetic but also chaotic. And that he had just come from his area, and at that particular time, there was no fertilizer. Madam Speaker, the same day, I found out that out of 12,500 farmers in Kawambwa, in that area, 12,217 had collected their fertilizer in full, and 283 had collected their fertilizer in part, both fertilizer and seed. Now, Honorable Mshanga, if we are going to trend like that, what are we telling the public out there? We need to be a bit more, I think, self-constraining, a bit more sincere, and tell the truth. Everybody has received fertilizer, all provinces, not this week, last week. We completed the distribution. We could have a few teething problems here and there in terms of the actual movement to the farm. But overall, we have done very, very well. So if people are going to pedalize, it will take time, it will stop. And at any rate, where we are going, this system is going to be self-cleansing. As we move on, we will prepare early in advance and perfect the art, the way we have done this season. Madam Speaker, I'm grateful once more to Honorable Mshanga because he has allowed me to take out this issue which has been disturbing me because of not telling the truth. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Musanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that answer. My follow-up question, Minister, is on credit window, that we were expecting you to give us numbers on how many have applied and how many you have approved to benefit from this credit window? As you are aware that a lot of our farmers have not benefited from FISIP, but they were hoping to benefit from this credit window. What is the status? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm extremely grateful for that very productive question. Madam Speaker, the credit window is meant to support the majority of our farmers who are not benefiting from the current FISIP program. I indicated, Madam Speaker, that government has worked through the credit guarantee scheme to give insurance, to give support to so far 5 banks. So far, 5 banks. We have 2 more banks that have indicated they want to come on board. And what are these 5 banks? ABSA, our former Barclays Bank, Zanaco, NatSafe, Atlas Mara, our former Finance Bank, and Indobank. They have put sufficient amount of money to give to our farmers, those who are farming up to 5 hectares. Each hectare can get a maximum of 14,000 kwacha, and therefore a single farmer can get a maximum of 70,000 kwacha. It is not logical for me to come with figures to say we are going to give so many. And there is this wrong narration, Madam Speaker, which I'm asking my honorable colleagues to assist disseminate. No province has been given a limit to say in Western Province we are only going to deal with 100,000 farmers. In Eastern Province we are only dealing with 50,000 farmers. No. We want as many farmers to apply. Let the banks fail to give the money. This year, we are testing the ground to see the teething problems so that we can perfect the art next year. So there is no limit, Madam Speaker, as to how many should apply from Nyimba. We want as many to apply so that we can benefit the people of Nyimba. Thank you, Honorable. Therefore, let us go out there and tell them. Now, the question is, what is the status right now? As of today, 3 banks of the 5 have confirmed that they are ready to receive applications and pay. 3 banks of the 5. Maybe by the end of tomorrow or so, the other 2 will join in. We are aware that rains have started, and therefore we cannot delay. In agriculture, time is a factor. Madam Speaker, I'm very, very grateful for that question from the Honourable Member.
The Honourable Member for Kwacha.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to ask a follow-up question to one of the most hard-working ministers in this government. First of all, let me wish to thank the Honourable Minister for the ministerial statement which he has just presented on the floor in this House. Now, Honourable Minister, you have indicated in your ministerial statement that sharing of the packs is actually taking place. And now this is very disturbing, and it is distorting the efforts of the current government. Now, what urgent measures is your ministry putting in place to put a complete stop to this kind of arrangement so that the image which this is building to dent the government is actually put to rest? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Can we lower our voices? The Honourable Minister of Agriculture, just lower your voice. You can continue whispering.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank Honourable Member for the kind words that he has poured on me. Thank you, sir. Sir, it remains the duty of us as Zambians to stop this issue of sharing fertilizer. Because if a farmer is given 6 bags of fertilizer and then he decides to share it with his uncle, it is almost impossible to control. But we are saying, come, instead of sharing, come to the credit window. Madam Speaker, the credit window is offering sustainable agricultural financing at 12% interest. You get 100 kwacha. When paying back, you give 100 kwacha plus 12 kwacha. It can't be better than that. We have fought for the people of Zambia to lower the interest rates in agriculture to 12%. Would the honorable members here, including honorable small-scale industries who have performed very well where they are from, to assist, tell the people that the interest rate is at 12%. That is what I would encourage the people to do. Otherwise, to say that today we have got this measure to stop sharing of fertilizer, they can share in the house. What will we do? They can share in the night. What can we do? Ask Madame Doreen. She is also suffering the same with her program. So we need to stop this issue of sharing fertilizer. It's a bad habit.
The Honorable Minister, who is Honorable Doreen, because the people out there want to know who is Honorable Doreen is.
My apologies. The Honorable Minister of Community Development. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that ministerial statement over a very important subject. Minister, the government awarded the contracts to supply fertilizer to local contract suppliers under e-voucher. It was quoted in kwacha. While for direct input support, it was quoted in dollars. Now, with this depreciation of the kwacha, how are these suppliers going to manage to supply this fertilizer? Because the cost has gone up. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Very important question. I wish to let the honorable members know that we have actually done our calculations looking at exchange rate and possible losses, and we have written to the Minister of Finance, which has positively indicated that we will reconcile and not make anyone make a loss. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Minister, you've told the House and the nation that you negotiated for a percentage of 12%. That is the interest rate. I just wanted to ask the Minister if you negotiated for a forward contract so that even if the reserve ratio was to go up, the percentage should remain 12%. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
I thank you, and I would like to assure the honorable member that we did precisely that. We looked at the possibilities of variation, and we wrote to the Minister of Finance, who is seated next to me here, and he wrote positively that we are still going to maintain that monetary ratio plus 2% and 12%. So we are absolutely delighted that we can now in this country talk about 12% interest to the agricultural beneficiaries. I'm grateful, Madam.
The Honorable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Mbabala an opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, congratulations for the excellent delivery so far. The percentages are looking good. However, we must just check Choma for us, because when I checked the provisional analysis, Choma was below the expected target of at least 9,500. So could you check for us what's going on there so that we can reach every person in Choma district? I'm glad that you have clarified the issue of the credit window that is open, because I saw insinuations in some media that the ministry had targeted maybe 5 people per constituency or 10 people and the like. That is propaganda from those who are doomsayers.
The honorable member from Mbabala, we want to squeeze in about 3 or 4 members. What is your question?
My question, Madam Speaker, after clarifying that very important matter which the Minister has clarified, so that the people in Mbabara can know that it's open to everybody in Mbabara to apply. My question is on the additionals. There are so many of them: soya, rice, beans, cow beans, ordinary beans. Are these limited to a region or a province to say here is soya, or it's open to everybody countrywide to choose what accompanies, what legume or related accompanies the 3 bags of top and basil dressing? Could you clarify that? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what happens is that at the beginning of the season, we talk to our experts and they tell us which crop is suitable for which area. And we take a syndicated group of seeds to that particular area. But where you feel that we have not delivered the right seed to your area, we are flexible to immediately take the right seed to your area. It happened last week. One of the members approached me here, and I said, we will change, and immediately we sent a truckload of seed to that area. So we are flexible. If you want beans in your area, let us know. If we took a wrong crop there, we'll do the right thing.
The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to the Minister of Agriculture. Minister of Agriculture, I've seen you have said Eastern Province has got 195,000 beneficiaries. Are these the packs you have sent for 195,000 people, beneficiaries, or you have sent less packs to Eastern Province? Why do I ask this? Because still people are sharing, and you and I, we know the reason why they are sharing, which I know you are capable of handling, and you are not doing it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, the Eastern Province has 194,543 beneficiaries, which we rounded off indeed to 195. Madam Speaker, Zambia has slightly above 3 million small-scale farmers. We are supporting 1 million farmers. Even those 1 million, we give them 6 bags of fertilizer. It is not sufficient, and it is a known fact that it is insufficient. From the time this program started, to make it a bit more acceptable, we have opened a credit window. We will not have the funds to support 3 million small-scale farmers in Zambia directly like that. We can support a loan so that it's a revolving fund. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Pambashi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I managed to hold myself because I knew I was on the tablet. Madam Speaker, Parliament demands that we are factual and we give correct information. Madam Speaker, I am tempted, with your permission, to call one of the coordinators for farming, and I put on loud. We prove who's misinforming the citizens between me and the minister. Madam Speaker, in Kawambwa Pambashi specifically, the coordinator for farmers confirms right now they're in the meeting. One cooperative with 115 members received 83 packs. 83 packs. And then what you expect is sharing. Then that, if that is not chaotic and pathetic, I don't know how best you can. Now I'm asking for the people of Chipata and Kaputa, where this morning in Kaputa there was almost rioting over the seed. And I was speaking to Mpezeni in Chipata. He says, Mbuya, kamuntu kaja kanyanga wenyeweho.
The honorable member for Pambashi, I think this is the time to seek points of clarifications and not to debate.
Yes,
Can
Madam
we
Speaker.
please go to the point of clarification? Do you have a question, the honorable member for Pambashi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wanted to interpret the statement by the Paramount Chief Mpezeni who told me, kamuntu kaja kanyanga wenyeweho, meaning that person is a liar. Madam Speaker, I want the Member of Parliament or the Minister for Agriculture to tell the people of Kaputa where you could have seen the pictures. They were almost rioting today over fertilizer. What measures are you doing to mitigate that fracas that was almost emanating in Kaputa district today? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, last week, when I was accused of running a chaotic and pathetic program, the statement was there's no fertilizer in Kawambwa. Madam Speaker, that same day, indeed there was a meeting, and there was, out of 12,500 farmers, 12,217 had picked 100%. 283 had picked partial. The total 12,500 had picked. Madam Speaker, if I was otherwise, I would not have stood to start this program again by the honorable member. I would rather he's quiet. Who is telling the truth? The one who has changed that now fertilizer is there but it's less, or the one who said there was no fertilizer? I will leave that, Madam Speaker, to the nation to judge. I thank you.
Order. Order. There is no need of raising so many points of order. We are still asking questions here. The Honorable Member for Chiengi, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I hope I'll be considered for a question as well. And Madam Speaker, before I raise my point of order, I want to congratulate the people of Kabuta Ward in Chelenge for doing justice. At least they are upholding democracy. They did justice by winning that ward, and it was wonderful. I was there. Madam Speaker, I'm rising on a very serious point of order on the minister, the language that he's using. Outstanding orders talks about unparliamentary language. I heard him using the word pathetic. I need your serious indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I'm sure you are not in the House, because there was a statement that came from the Honorable Member for Pambashi, who actually mentioned those names. He said, I don't know whether it was a system that was chaotic and pathetic. So the Honorable Minister is trying to respond to that matter that was raised by the Honorable Member for Pambashi last week. So we make progress. I'll add 10 more minutes. Please, can we use these minutes wisely? Because the people are listening out there. They need answers. Can we be focused? Let's not debate the questions so that the minister can be given enough time to answer, as well as enough members of parliament to ask within the 10 minutes that I have allocated. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, indeed, the Minister of Agriculture is very right that this season there's been a tremendous improvement in the way we are handling the farmers, especially on FISIP. Now, my question, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Agriculture has put it very clear that the challenge we have as a country is that we have 3 million farmers, but the government can only support 1 million. Hence, there is a deficit of 2 million farmers not receiving fertilizer. And to this effect, the government has introduced their own scheme to cater for the deficit. Now, my question is, how many farmers is the government targeting to support through this loan scheme, how many are we expecting to receive from the 2 million? What number are we looking at? I thank you.
Is that a point of order? Let the minister respond. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture will get back to you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, earlier on I had a question very close to that, and my answer was, we are encouraging as many farmers to apply. Let it be up to the financial institutions to reach their limit and not provide. As at now, we have not given any limit to any region. We want as many farmers to apply so that we can see how far we can go to support them. What government is doing is ensuring, is supporting the banks so that they can feel comfortable to deal with the small-scale farmers. Madam Speaker, there is no limit. We want to see how far we can go. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, in our various constituencies, we have farmers that never redeemed the full package of these agricultural inputs, whether it is 2021 to 2022 season or 2022 to 2023 season. They still have the ATDs. They could not collect urea or top dressing. My question is, from this year's allocation of 247,760 metric tons, does this include the backlog that government is supposed to sort out to those farmers that government is owing agricultural inputs? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you. I wish to thank the Honorable Member for Kaumbe for that. Madam Speaker, no, the figure you have does not include the fertilizer that has not been given. There is a separate 17,500 metric tons that is being procured for the group that was disadvantaged from 2021. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Mwembeshi. The Honorable Member for Mwembeshi, you have no question?
Yes. Was withdrawn. My question. Yes, I've got a question. What's your problem?
Order, Honorable Member, you are not supposed to engage other members.
I've heard, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, if you have noticed, people who are asking questions, sometimes they don't understand why we asked you that question, why you are standing there. This thing is common in Central Province. Central Province have got a problem because it's going e-voucher. Now, I don't know who advised that Central Province should go e-voucher when in Southern Province we are crying together, they remained on direct. I want to think that please next year, let us all go on direct. But the question which is there is, you have stated in your statement that those who are getting 8 bags, were those who were left in 2022. But in Mwembeshi, the situation is actually different. Those who got fertilizer first, they are the ones who got 8 bags. Then as people started to stabilize, they are starting getting 6. Who was misleading who now, Mr. Minister? Because those people, they are confusing us. Honorable Minister, yes. People are confusing us on the ground. Even as today, they are calling me that you, Honorable Member, why are you saying we get 6 packs when our friends got 8? And the situation is not that these people did not get in 2022, but the situation is that there is a problem there in Mwembeshi. Are there some still PF people who are using there, who are doing this magic?
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate what the Honorable Member has said. Lusaka province and the Central province are experiencing these small issues here and there. And we are having a very critical eye on it. Madam Speaker, last week, you will recall that our honorable member from which constituency? I don't want to point at the honorable member, it will be disrespectful.
You can even say there was one honorable
There was
member.
one honorable member who said, you, Minister of Agriculture, you are encouraging the e-voucher system. And the e-voucher system is flexible to allow a farmer to do what he wants with the money on his voucher. And part of that occurred that they were saying, we don't want seed, we just want in our entire voucher to get fertilizer. We sat down and analyzed this, and in my statement I alluded to it, that it appears we could lead ourselves into a problem. Whilst the e-voucher, the voucher you are given, is yours and you can choose what you want to do with it, we have felt that we need to guide the farmers. Because if they get only fertilizer, where are they going to get the seed? What type of seed are they going to get? If they get only fertilizer, what are they going to do with it? What crop are they planting? So we are guiding them to say, no, no, no. We have a target to feed Zambia. We have a target to reach 10 million tons. Therefore, allow a bit of maize seed to be gotten. So yes, we could have some notorious elements in the process, but the system also had allowed some flexibility which was looking dangerous for the country. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The honorable member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to find out from the Honorable Minister, since he has touched on the credit window. People in my constituency, Honorable Minister, are complaining in as much as the credit window is concerned. It could be a good move by the government, but the caveats that are attached to it are actually making it very difficult for people to access the credit window. Why is your ministry, through the credit window, or the financiers, the commercial banks, attached a condition of someone to have a land, or if he hasn't a farm, he must get clearance from the owner of the farm? Honorable Minister, I want to be very honest with you. From time immemorial, Ron constituency farmers have been farming in the mining area, and they are doing so as the same. But they are finding it very difficult to go to the mine and have the mine sign on that form for them to access credit window. What is your advice to the farmers in my constituency? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, a very important question. However, it is important to critically understand what the Honorable Member is trying to say. A farmer is supposed to have land. So if we say, Farmer X, we want to see your land, I think that is the right way of doing things. Why does this farmer, in open and closed commas, want to get fertilizer if he has no farm? What is it for? We are not trading. We want the farmer to use the fertilizer on land. And one of, by the way, this is being run by banks, and banks are going to ask questions. So one of the things is, you should have land. So if I'm a farmer, I'm asked, where is your farm? I must be able to say, come along, I've got a farm in New Cassava, this is where I want to plant, and this is where I want to use my seed. If I'm failing to identify land, then am I a farmer? Maybe we need to check on that. So I think we need to encourage that. Secondly, Madam Speaker, let me take advantage of the Honourable Member's important question. The form is asking for someone to guarantee that indeed you are what you claim to be. That is not asking for security. It's not asking for you to pledge your car or your house or your land or your chickens and goats. No. It is just to make sure that someone has said, this indeed is honorable so-and-so. Number two, and very important, Madam Speaker, some of the units that have been providing reference have been asking for money from the poor farmers. Don't pay anyone for giving you a reference. I have spoken to a couple of traditional leaders. I've spoken to a couple of colleagues to say, do not ask for funds for someone to give you a reference. If surely I come to you as honorable member of parliament and I say, give me a reference letter, why should you charge me 1,000, 1,700? We are making the facility expensive. So this, I would like to speak to the nation. Our Royal Highnesses should not ask for money for them to give a reference. This is a very earnest, honest appeal. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members, we have to make progress. We are behind time. We move to questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 76. The Honorable Member for Cassava.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving the special people of Cassava to ask a very important question. Question number 156.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I answer this question, permit me to also place on record our congratulations to our mighty party, United Party for National Development, UPND, for scooping 2 seats, for grabbing 2 seats, one from PF and one from an independent, out of 3. And we want to congratulate our campaign team for the job well done. Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Cassava, Honorable Nyambose, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the following question: whether the government is aware that the contractor that was assigned to sink 80 boreholes in Cassava district has abandoned the works, thereby subjecting 10 schools and 4 health posts to operate without proper water supply, and B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to ensure that the project is completed on time to prevent waterborne diseases in affected areas? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. A, yes, government is aware that the contractor that was assigned to sink 80 boreholes in Cassava district has abandoned the works, thereby subjecting 10 schools and 4 health posts to operate without proper water supply. B, that the contractor drilled 41 out of 80 boreholes. However, the 41 boreholes drilled were not equipped. Madam Speaker, due to the slow progress of works by the contractor, government has commenced the process to close the contract and retender the remaining works under the 2024 annual work plan by the first quarter of 2024. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions, but just a caution, this is a constituency-based question. The Honorable Member for Cassava.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, once again. And I want to thank the Minister for the response. Honorable Minister, the contractor in question is called DDYPE. This contractor, in 2016, the same contractor was contracted to do boreholes in Rundazi 20, Cassava 22, Lumezi 18. The same contractor failed to deliver. In Cassava, out of 22, he only did 5. In Lumezi, out of 18, he did none. And the same contractor was contracted in the year 2022 by the government. The question is, do you do due diligence to these, some of the contractors who are tarnishing the name of a good government which gave us 80 boreholes but not delivered? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Chasefu for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, it is true that this contractor, DDYPE, was contracted in 2015 to drill about 440 boreholes in Eastern Province and 40 boreholes on the Copper Belt, and that this said contractor lamentably failed between 2015 up to the expiry period of this contract in 2019. How he was recontracted in 2022 to drill these boreholes is one issue that my ministry will leave no stone unturned. We investigate and ensure that any officer who has deliberately or who deliberately pushed for not doing a proper due diligence and recontract this contractor, surely disciplinary measures should be taken, and I want to confirm, Madam Speaker, that that process has started. I think I take it as really a matter of serious indiscipline that a contractor who has failed to perform, to drill 440 boreholes, Madam Speaker, only very few, like the Member of Parliament has put it across, were done. And I don't think that actions such as these should be tolerated, to go and recontract the same contractor as a preferred bidder, as a way of tarnishing the good image of this government. I want to assure this House, Madam Speaker, that as a minister in that ministry, I'll do everything possible working with the Cabinet Office to ensure that the culprits are identified who are behind this and the necessary steps and the decisions are taken. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, this is the same contractor who was awarded 24 boreholes for 12 in Chama South, 12 in Chama North for 2022. Up to this time, boreholes have not been drilled. Now, you are saying that these boreholes in Chasefu, they will be worked on under the 2024 work plan. I thought the issue of water is supposed to be treated as an emergency. Why don't we find a quicker way? We treat it as an emergency so that we found a contractor who is able to drill these boreholes as quickly as possible, because I know that we have some Indians who are experts in drilling boreholes. So why wait for 2024 when the people of Chasefu are in need of water? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Chama North for that question, a follow-up question. And I want to assure the Honorable Member that I'm as disappointed as you are. I'm at pains as you are, because all necessary steps were taken to advise my team on how to avoid the things that bring us situations like these, questions like these. But how we found ourselves in this situation is a matter that now we have to take stock of and deal with the issues. Now, it's true that the issues of water supply are urgent issues, but Madam Speaker, these are matters that border on contractual obligations, and obviously the due process to terminate the contract has to be followed. By the time we do that, we'll be already in the middle of the peak of the rainy season. And this is why I'm promising that during the first quarter of 2024, we'll be able to retender, because looking at the season we are in, there's very little that we can do now to find another contractor and to start drilling boreholes during the rainy season. So I want to just ask the affected members of Parliament, who are actually quite many. There are many constituencies that are affected beyond Chasefu and the Chama. And I want to ask them that bear with us. We will make good of this, during the first quarter of 2024, soon after the rain season. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the people of Isoka to ask a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, the people of Isoka would like to know how many boreholes are supposed to be sunk in Isoka, considering the number of boreholes that has been sunk in, that are supposed to be sunk in Chasefu constituency. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, the question, like I mentioned, is straightforward. Whether the government is aware that the contractor that was assigned to sink 8 boreholes in Chasefu, we are talking about Chasefu. The Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the people of Bwana Mkubwa to ask a follow-up question. Minister, I do sympathize with you with this special contractor who has been given mostly the entire Mchinga and Eastern Province while he's not performing. Honorable Minister, I just wanted to find out if your ministry is considering to encash the performance bonds which were provided by this contractor so that government can mitigate this issue. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for Bwana Mkubwa for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, yes, government has already taken steps. My ministry has already taken steps to ensure that government money is protected by encashing, by writing, so that the security performance bonds and the advance payment bonds are encashed. On the 12th of October, the ministry wrote to the insurance company to undertake that process. So yes, the ministry has taken that action. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chasefu.
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I sympathize with you and concur with you that this thing has happened. No pump testing, just leaving the hose done. And mostly, these, we targeted the health centers, schools, for obvious reasons as directed by the President, that we should give priority to these areas, and that's what we did. Now, you are talking of 2024. And 2024, the procurement process, by the time you end, it will be rain season again. Honorable Minister, what will change now that you are assuring the people of Chasefu, you are still the minister there, and the things happened the way they happened? What guarantee or what assurance is there that, you know, the Easterners say, vumbwa kakaramba nkuku zimpita pakamwa, meaning that the people who beat the system are still there? So what assurance do you have? And these are emergencies. We did some, Madam Speaker, where we use CDF. They are saying these have happened. We can't open Chambuzi Health Center, Mutwaro Clinic, we have refurbished it. It has no water, Champero, many more. 2024 is a long period. What is it that you can do for the people of Chasefu? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Chasefu for that additional question. Madam Speaker, first I want to indicate And if the Member of Parliament was listening to me when I was presenting my ministry's head, I did indicate that some of the challenges that we've encountered in the current financial year, was exactly what we are talking about, the delayed procurement and also the preference clause in the ZPPA Act. Some of the issues that we had some serious engagements. I did engage the ZPPA Director General and her team to make her understand the challenges that we are facing as a sector in ensuring prompt procurement. And we had a very good engagement with my team, my ministry, and the ZPPA. And from that meeting, it was actually one of the meetings to help us unlock some of the rigidities that we encountered. And I can assure you that from the guidance we got, even my team at the ministry was happy with the guidance. And I think going forward, we should be able to ensure that we procure in good time and implement these projects in good time. As we speak now, the ministry has actually, the officers have been directed to quickly come up with BOQs. As we are debating the budget here, they are also preparing to ensure that by the time we approve this budget, they'll also be ready so that come January, we begin to procure. Madam Speaker, we are doing this, we are being proactive because we've learned the past 2 years, it's exactly what the MP is saying. You'll find that by the time we finish the procurement, by the time the Attorney General clears the contracts, we are going into the rain season. And most of our works in the ministry are not works that can be done during the rain season. We really get affected. So come 2024, I want to assure you, through the Madam Speaker, that we are very confident that most of the works will commence around June. And by the time we get into the rain season, I think most of the works that we have lined up for 2024 and these that we are carrying forward as a result of these failed contracts will be done in good time. So be assured that during the first quarter, we'll be able to retender these, and I think we'll be able to get very competent contractors to do the job in good time. We regret, Madam Speaker, what has happened, and particularly that these boreholes were meant to supply water to public facilities, very critical public facilities such as learning institutions and health centers. And this is why I'm saying anyone who will be found wanting, Madam Speaker, will really pay a price for this because it's something that has been very painful. We spent a lot of hours guiding each other, and to think that a thing like this can be done, surely we have competent people who should have done proper due diligence and ensure that government is not put in this situation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There's an indication for a point of order. Honorable Mpalali, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my point of order is pursuant to 239 of our standing orders.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm using 239 as my reference point, and 1 and 2. Madam Speaker, traditionally, this House has a standing tradition where if a question or a matter is before a committee, that matter should not be brought before the House until the committee has decided. The question on the floor that is being discussed this afternoon is a matter that is actually coming to this House, and it has not yet been resolved by the committee, which is the Public Accounts Committee. Is the House therefore in order to bring a question that is before a committee, and then we are seeing what we are seeing today? I'm using 239 for interpretation, Madam Speaker. I submit.
Thank you. I'll reserve my ruling. I'll come back to give my ruling in due course. we make progress. Next question. The Honorable Member for Rubasenshi. Not in the House. The question.
Madam Speaker, apologies for that. Honorable Minister for Water and Development.
No, I said the next question.
Okay.
What is your question number?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for permitting the people of Rubansenchi constituency to ask question number 157.
Thank you. Even before the minister could give a response, there is already a question. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Chair, Member of Parliament for Rubansenchi, is asking government whether the government is aware of the outbreak of cassava brown streak disease in Luwingu, Lupososhi, Chiluwe, and other districts, and B, if so, what the cause of this disease is, C, what urgent measures are being taken to combat the disease and prevent hunger in the affected area. Madam Speaker, from the onset, let me indicate that, strangely, this is the third time this question is coming through, exactly in the same format. But I will answer all the same. Madam Speaker, A, government is aware of the current outbreak of cassava brown streak disease in Luwingu, Lupososhi, Chiluwe, and other districts. You may wish to note that there have been reports of cassava rots in various parts of the country, including the districts in question since 2022. In B, the causes of the disease are the following. Number one, high infestation by termites. Number two, partial harvests where a few roots are removed from the same plant at a time. Three, rodent infestations by moles and rats. Number four, planting in areas prone to water logging. Then for C, Madam Speaker, the urgent measures that are being taken to combat the disease and prevent hunger in the affected areas are as follows. Number one, advising farmers to follow good agriculture practices, including A, planting in non-flood prone areas, B, planting on ridges in areas where soils do easily allow water to swell, and C, tilling land in order to break termite nests before new planting is done. D, discouraging farmers from recycling planting material which may be infected with disease causal agents, and E, discouraging partial harvesting of cassava. Then, two, Madam Speaker, training farmers on cassava pests and disease recognition and management. The combination of these measures, Madam Speaker, will help to reduce crop loss and safeguard food security in the affected areas. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Rubasenchi.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the response that the Minister has provided. As he has put it rightly, that indeed there is a problem which the government has acknowledged. Now, on the measures that he has highlighted, the people of Rubansenchi, especially those who are dependent on cassava, the fact is that they don't have food that can take them up to end of 2024. I would like to find out from the Minister, is there any practical solution that the government can provide at the moment so that the people of Rubansenchi can be able to be assured that they will not suffer from hunger? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think it is important that the country is aware that the ministry that is or the government institution that is responsible for that is the office of the Vice President, and in this case, the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, could be useful. However, what we could do, Madam Speaker, is if the Honorable Member for Rwansenshi could write, we will open community cells for maize in the area so that our beautiful Zambians do not suffer from hunger. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Rwansenshi.
Madam Speaker, the relief food is temporal, and I would like to find out if the minister, through his ministry, can able to provide cuttings or cassava cuttings for the people of Rwansenshi constituency, so that we can able to have a lasting solution. In this case, I'm referring to the plantation. For instance, in Kawambwa, I'm told there is a plantation where we can get cuttings and take to Rwansenshi, so that the farmers can able to utilize this rain season, that the government is ready to provide those cuttings to the people of Rwansenshi constituency. I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are lucky, Madam Speaker, that in our country, we have the office of the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, IITA. Madam Speaker, this institute is specialized in a number of tropical crops, including cassava. The Speaker would be happy to note that the Honorable Member of Rwansenshi and myself actually contacted IITA, and they have agreed to meet us this week so that they can give disease-free cuttings to the Honorable Member for Rwansenshi. We are hopeful that maybe these can be propagated so that we can have much more in the area for more farmers. So all those who have got these problems, Madam Speaker, please visit us. We go to IITA so that we see what can happen, and other institutions that are there in the country. I thank you.
Thank you for that invitation. I think we make progress, especially that this is a repeat. The question was brought already to this House. Before we move on to the next item, I want to inform the House that in the absence of the Government Chief Whip, Honorable Machira Jamba, Member of Parliament for Mwembeshi, has been appointed to fill up that role. Thank you. Notice of motion, the Honorable Member for Pambashi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House do adopt a report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters on the performance of the audit report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce incidences of child labor in Zambia for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 28th November 2023.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker, it is seconded.
Seconded by the Honorable Member for Solwezi East. The question is that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters on the report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce incidences of child labor in Zambia for the period 2018 to 2022 for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 28 November 2023. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Madam Speaker, I am sure the honorable members had the opportunity to read the committee report. I will therefore only highlight few of the salient issues contained in the report. Madam Speaker, as you may be aware, the child labor is a violation of fundamental human rights. It is the gateway of a dangerous and very harmful, as it deprives children of their childhood, reduces their potential, and lowers their dignity. Further, the child labor also deprives children of the opportunity to attend school. A child who is engaged in child labor is at risk of being mentally, physically, and socially, morally abused. In light of this, Madam Speaker, the Office of the Auditor General conducted a performance audit in order to establish the effectiveness of the measures that government has put in place by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to reduce instances of child labour. Madam Speaker, one of the issues that the audit revealed is the need for the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to develop and revise laws and policies that relate to child labour in order to effectively reduce the incidences of child labour. In this regard, the committee recommends that the existing registrations and policies that regulate are aimed at protecting the rights and well-being of children should be strengthened. Madam Speaker, another revelation of the audit was that due to the insufficient financial and human resource requirement to enforce the child labor programs, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security was unable to meet the targeted number of inspections aimed at identifying, withdrawing, rehabilitating, and reintegrating children engaged in child labor. In this regard, the committee recommends that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security should prioritize the formation and reactivation of the district child labor committees. These should be allocated with sufficient financial resources to spearhead the enforcement of child labor laws in Zambia. Madam Speaker, labor inspectors play a vital role in the fight against child labor. However, the report also revealed that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security does not have enough human resource to coordinate and investigate child labor cases in all the districts. The staff establishment at the time of audit revealed that the ministry only had 18 out of the required number of all the labor inspectors in the country. In light of this, the committee recommends that the adequate staff dedicated to child labor matters should be recruited as a matter of urgency. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, allow me, on behalf of the committee, to thank you for the opportunity you rendered during the important issues that affect the future of our country. The committee is also grateful to the clerk of the National Assembly and his staff for the guidance and support rendered to it during the consideration of the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce the instances of child labor in Zambia. The committee would also want to press on record its indebtedness to all the witnesses who appeared before it for their cooperation in providing the necessary memoranda for informed, so that your committee can be informed for its report. With these few words, Madam Speaker, I would want to urge all members of this August House to support this report. As your chairman, I was almost saying the clerk and her staff, because the past period, Madam, the clerk was half, but now we are privileged, we have he. So the clerk and his staff rendered a very fundamental support to this committee. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according the good people of Solwezi East, Mshindamo District, to second this motion as we believe in child matters. Madam Speaker, I beg to second that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, on the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce incidences of child labor in Zambia for the third session of the 13th National Assembly. Madam Speaker, in seconding this motion, allow me to make a few comments. Madam, the audit report has cited the Education Act number 23 of 2011, which provides for free education and compulsory for children of school-going age. Of course, without stating the age at which a child has to leave school and be legally allowed to work. Madam Speaker, because of this gap in stating the school-going age, it leads to children being illegally involved in child labor, and this increases their vulnerability. And to this effect, the committee recommends that the Education Act should clearly state the school-going age in order to enable the parents and the guardian to know the age at which children are supposed to be in school and when they are supposed to leave in order to get engaged in labor. Madam, the audit revealed that child labor slows economic growth, which affects Zambia's developmental trajectory. In this regard, eliminating child labor helps generate inclusive economic growth, which enables stronger economic and education attainments and human capital accumulation. The committee therefore recommends for strengthened multi-stakeholder coordinated response with allocation of more resources. And in addition, there is need to improve policy implementation strategies and capacity in the various institutions contributing to the fight against child labor. Madam, the audit further revealed that children were engaged in child labor because of high poverty levels experienced in their various homes, and that enabled their guardians of these children not able to provide adequate resources for their school requisites. And therefore, the committee feels that the government should be able to provide these essential needs such as books and uniforms for these children so they're not involved in child labor. This could be done through the support done through cash transfer to their parents and guardians of these children. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I would like to reiterate that eliminating child labor will lead to the attainment of education milestones by ensuring that all girls and boys complete free primary and secondary school by 2030, therefore contributing to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Madam Speaker, I indeed second the motion that was ably moved by Pambashe Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for causing me an opportunity to make a contribution on this report, which has been moved by my honorable colleague and older brother, Honorable Ronald Stotela, and of course seconded by my honorable colleague across the aisle. Madam Speaker, the importance of children to our country cannot be overemphasized. This is why any attempt to secure them should be supported by well-meaning Zambians like ourselves. This audit report, Madam Speaker, let me just confirm. This audit report, was it signed by Dr. Onwam? Madam
The
Speaker.
Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker.
I think the procedure of the House is straightforward. You cannot involve other members in your debate.
I was just consulting.
No, you are addressing the chair. You are addressing the chair, and you are simply, your task is simply to debate. Any further debate?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have confirmed that this audit report under consideration was signed by an illegal auditor. And because I cannot be part of legitimizing an illegality, I wish to withdraw my debate. Thank you, Madam.
Honorable members, we are supposed to debate the content of this report. That is our task. I'm sure we've gone through or perused through this report. So we are supposed to discuss or debate the content of this report. That is what we are supposed to do. There is no need of asking who signed what. We are just looking at the content of the report. So let's debate focusing on this report, the content of this report. The Honorable Member for Lunte, you may continue.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for the directive to continue.
You withdrew. Okay, sorry. I think I missed your withdrawal. You may take your seat. Sorry about that. I didn't hear the member withdraw. We make progress. We move on to the Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to debate this very important motion moved by Senior Honorable Member of Parliament for Pambashe, and of course, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Zambezi East. Sorwezi East. Madam Speaker, indeed, child labor is very detrimental to the upbringing of the child, as it deprives them of their dignity. And indeed, as it is defined by the Labour International Organization, that it deprives them of their childhood. Madam Speaker, everyone who is concerned about the welfare of our country, they need to support anything and everything that safeguards the life of children, because the future is indeed in the children. However, Madam Speaker, even when we are trying to introduce laws and regulations that would deter people from engaging children in child labor, we need to be alive to the fact that it's not deliberate that some parents or even some children find themselves in child labor activities. I say so, Madam Speaker, because I come from a village. I come from a poor background myself. That's the more reason why I'm even a representative of the poor. Madam Speaker, what is supposed to be done first and foremost is for those who have been given a responsibility to be in charge of our national resources to fight poverty, because it's poverty that is putting our children in child labor. That is what must be fought hard and hard. This can only be achieved when the resources of our country, which is our children's resources, is put to good use. I mean, we mobilize national resources from the mines. We cannot have descendants of imperialists coming here to run our mines on tax-free holidays. How are we going to fight child labor when poverty keeps on increasing? 80% of our people are living in abject poverty. Madam Speaker, it is important to sort out the root cause. Otherwise, we will be building more prisons than hospitals. Because almost everyone. Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Member from Pika. There is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member, you can go ahead.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing the people of Katombora to raise a point of order against the MP that is debating, the MP from Pika, Honorable Kampianga. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, I raise on Standing Order number 65, is it in order to suggest that in this country our mines are being run by imperialists without laying evidence on the floor of the House? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member from Pika, I think I had guided. Let's try to be focused on the report. The report is straightforward, and the Zambians are actually, some of them are watching TV, others are listening to the radio, just to hear what you, the representatives, are saying over this problem which is there. So can we please try to be factual and also debate, like I had guided, on the content of the report? You were doing well, but the minute now you started moving away, it brought some controversies. Can we please just be focused on the report so that even your people from Pika will be able to follow and agree with you? You may continue.
Always grateful by your wise guidance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Bosch system is very open here. Anyone can indicate and debate. They can always take note of the points and just rebut them through debate. We need to encourage healthy debate, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what I was saying is poverty has to be fought. And we can only do so by harnessing our natural resources. We fight poverty, even fighting child labor will become very easy. Here is the situation. A child whose parents have died will remain with his or her grandmother or father. These ones have grown old. They cannot go and sell tomatoes to raise money to put food on their table. They will have no option but to use a young child to go and do those things. And these are the things we are talking about. Now, if this old couple or old woman was put on social cash transfer under the Ministry of Community Development, this child will not be forced into child labor. Ministries such as the Ministry of Community Development need a lot of resources. We cannot only proposing to be stiffening laws, but avoid the root cause. We can side by side stiffen laws. On the other hand, fight poverty. We cannot have a situation where the haves will continue having, and the have not will continue suffering and ending up committing cases, crimes such as child labor. It is a country that needs to fight poverty. Madam Speaker, as I wind up my debate, let me remind the government of the day that the money they are spending on by-elections can be taken to the Ministry of Community Development, which can put more people on social cash transfer. Why buying off councillors like tomatoes, creating mobile elections on a daily basis when our people are suffering, when children are being forced into child labor?
The honorable member from Pika, do you have evidence of somebody buying off the councillors? Like tomatoes, do you have evidence?
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, our colleagues on your right need to be more patriotic than they to our country than they are to their political party. They are very much.
Order, honorable member. I asked you a question, but you have decided to continue with the debate. I want evidence because what you've said, we have to prove it that there are some people that are selling off councillors like tomatoes. Do we have evidence so that we withdraw that and make progress? Do we have evidence of that?
Madam Speaker, if leave is granted, I'm able to bring evidence that these by-elections that you are seeing, Madam Speaker, are being created because money has been exchanged. Even, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member from Pika, since you have failed to provide evidence over what you've just said, can you please withdraw?
I withdraw, Madam Speaker, and still demand that money be increased to the Ministry of Community Development for us to ensure that poor families are put on social cash transfer and avert the issue of child labor. Madam Speaker, that's the only way. That's the only way, Madam Speaker. Unless if you want to build more prisons than hospitals and schools, because people continue committing child labor crimes. It's because of poverty. Poverty must be fought. Families that are vulnerable must be identified and continue. Government should continue supporting them. Then child labor will be fought. Like I said, Madam Speaker, I support this motion 100%. And I even support the constitution of labor committees at district, constituency, and even ward levels. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The honorable member from Mbabala, then we'll come back this side.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Mbabala a very good opportunity to support the committee on youth unrated on the child labor matters as ably moved by Honorable Chitotera and seconded by Honorable Katakwe. Madam Speaker, the issue of child labor affects 15+% of our children in Zambia, and it's more prevalent with the girl child, who, as a caucus on children at Parliament, we are very concerned with this report, to which we support its submissions in line with the minimum age of work. And of course, the fact that we have seen that Western Province has the highest percentage at 23.9%, basically due to some of the agricultural activities there, and we would like them to be addressed. But Madam Speaker, we see that this report is covering the period 2018 to 2022. This is the period, Madam Speaker, when the failed PF regime was in charge. And they, Madam Speaker, completely failed to put any program to improve the welfare of our Zambian children.
The honorable member on the floor, the honorable member on the floor.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
You've correctly stated that the period was from 2018 to 2022.
Yes.
When the new Dawn government had already was in office.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Indeed, 2018 to 2022 implies that 4 years of the failed PF regime and 1 year of the UPND, just see, planting our seed. In 2022, we had just planted our seed, and our seed cannot mature in 1 year, Madam Speaker. We just started the programs, and honorable ministers of labor and minister of community development and social welfare, our hardworking honorable Doreen Mwamba and honorable Tambatamba, we are just planting the seeds, including the honorable minister of education, who is doing an excellent job in education. They were just planting our seed. Therefore, the failed PF regime, which took over in 2011 from the MMD that was at least trying to do something, Madam Speaker, is the cause of this big problem we have of child labor in Zambia. We are speaking as experts here who saw that this failed PF regime, Madam Speaker, had no program for child welfare in Zambia. They actually removed free education for our children. That's why His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema ensured that we have now free education, to ensure that our children are in school and not laboring out there in the farms and doing pet trading, Madam Speaker. That is the change which we are seeing.
Order, honorable member. There is an indication for a point of order. I'll get that one as the last point of order. We want to make progress. The honorable member for Chipiri, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam.
Let's go dancing.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 65. One, relevancy of speech. Madam Speaker, you have guided that we should stick to the report. Is there any where the report has mentioned the PF is a failure? Is it in order to go out and start talking something else apart from departing from the report? I want your serious ruling, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very clear that in the report it doesn't say anything about PF and it doesn't say anything about the new Dawn government. So like I had guided the honorable member who is on the floor, please let's try to be factual to the report before us, and let's also debate in a friendly way, because we want to come up with solutions for these children that are being made to work. The young children, let's help them through our debate.
Thank you so much.
Member, you may continue.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for your able and excellent guidance. Madam Speaker, Convention 182 of the ILO, elimination of all forms of, worst forms of child labor, is very clear on these matters, including the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which Zambia is signatory to. And we've got the 4 best principles for child welfare. These are child participation, ensuring that children are respected, best interest of the child, non-discrimination of children, right to life, survival, and development, including other interventions we have done in terms of alternative care. So, in my debate, Madam Speaker, I quoted a period, the period 2018 to 2022, which this report is covering. And in that period, Madam Speaker, there was a government, and that government was a PF government. That's why, Madam Speaker, I said the government of that time failed the children of Zambia. This is the period, Madam Speaker, when we saw children become junkies because of failing to have a program that deals with the best interest of the children, to ensure that children are in school, they are supported in college, they are supported with CDF skills and the like, so that they can be productive in their communities. Instead, the children were all encouraged to go into alcoholism, commercial sex work, and many other vices that destroy children. That's why we have got cadres, the period of cadreism, when the children became so that it was more important to become a cadre, to be chasing people who are wearing red, than to be doing work so that you can be productive. So, Madam Speaker, these are serious challenges. And what we want now that the new Dawn government has planted an excellent seed of free education all the way. They have done an excellent job of ensuring that the Ministry of Community Development is dealing with the poverty issues that are affecting our people. We've got the social cash transfer that is going to over 1 million households. We've got the meal allowances restored at the University of Zambia to ensure that we deal with those issues of our children failing to feed themselves there. We have CDF now that is empowering our youths with the loans and grants. We've got the farmer support program that is coming twice in a year from the Ministry of Community Development. And we've got it also, now we've got the Ministry of Agriculture with a credit window, apart from giving the FISP program. These and many other programs, Madam Speaker, are showing a network of support to our communities to deal with poverty, deal with the issue of unemployment and unemployment, which are the causes of child labor. We are now dealing with the root causes, Madam Speaker, so that our children can enjoy quality life. And we provide for them in line with the best interest of the child. Children need to enjoy their childhood as children and not to be looking for food, not to be doing pet trading and all that. Therefore, we are just calling for the line ministries to improve the surveillance in these areas where child labor is rampant, to ensure that they are picking these children and tracking the parents so that the parental obligation can be fulfilled by those parents who need to take care of these children. And indeed, going further, like we proposed last time, to ensure that education becomes compulsory and not only free. Madam Speaker, with these remarks, I want to thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, I was doubting whether you forgot that I must debate. Madam Speaker, the people of Chitambo want to take this motion very seriously. And Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the mover of the motion and the seconder of the motion as I support the report. Madam Speaker, there is no need to politicize such a very important motion which touches on the future of this country. Madam Speaker, can you imagine what child labor does to our children? Firstly, Madam Speaker, it brings about a very big problem in families. It's a situation where, because of child labor, a child grows into an adult at an early age. What does that bring? It makes that child to drop out of school. The next thing they will do is to get married. Madam Speaker, governments, including the New Dawn government, have been spending a lot of money trying to curb early marriages in these rural areas. And Madam Speaker, child labor is so rampant in rural areas. And it's a problem that we need to face because it is real. Madam Speaker, child labor, if it is not fought, our future will be gloom, and this country, poverty levels will grow high. There was a suggestion here, Madam Speaker, that district child labor committees be introduced. It's very true, we need them. But they need to be supported, Madam Speaker. And they shall be supported if only government can realize that working with traditional leaders, cooperatives, headmen, is very important to bring about this very genuine information Because, Madam Speaker, to be honest with you, a lot of parents in our rural areas, they don't know what child labor is. They don't know it. Because that is how they were also brought up. So it is about the lack of information which our people in rural areas like my constituents, I won't shy away from mentioning it, that we are suffering from. The moment, Madam Speaker, we started talking to this issue in a manner that befits the importance that it has, like involving church leaders, and not politicizing this matter by bringing in blame games, Madam Speaker. It is a matter that surrounds us. This is a matter that spans all the way from 1964. This is a matter that spans from the slave trade time. We need to address it, Madam Speaker. And we can only address it if we work together. Madam Speaker, there are programs that I look at sometimes, like the girl child. Many of our CSOs have concentrated so much on the girl child, leaving out the boy child. What does that mean? The boy child also now is having a feeling, Madam Speaker, that he has been left out. They would rather drop out of school and concentrate on gardening to start making money and also to marry early. I would urge all those, Madam Speaker, who are dealing with child issues to concentrate on both children. If one is made pregnant by a male child, they must all be given equal chances to get back to school and learn, Madam Speaker. It is very unfair to bring one girl child and leave the other boy child to become a parent. Madam Speaker, there was a very good program that was introduced. This is a school feeding program. Madam Speaker, this program has died out. This program was very well meant and it was helping our children to stay in schools, taking them away from what we are calling child labor. Madam Speaker, today this program has died. We are here approving the budget. We need money, Madam Speaker, more money to go into this area so that the school feeding program can be enhanced. If we kept our children in school, very few children will be involved in child labor. Child labor, Madam Speaker, anywhere you shall go, has got a lot of effect on even the growth of a child. This is where you have stunted children because they are being overused. Our population, even our age expectation, Madam Speaker, sorry. Yes, will be reduced because, Madam Speaker, children are getting tired. They will never have time to rest. They will never have time to concentrate on anything that they do in society. Madam Speaker, we need to be very careful if we are to grow a generation, a future that shall lead us, a future that shall take care of us who are growing today. We are forgetting one thing, Madam Speaker, that we need these children to come and take over from us, to come and take over leadership. Madam Speaker, if a child has not been brought up well, he has been exposed to too much labor, these are the children who are troubled, Madam Speaker, who are now being referred to as junkies at some point. Madam Speaker, it is only if we get this matter to be a serious matter and a national matter that we shall see child labor reducing. Madam Speaker, in rural areas, you would find that in cooperatives, if you ask the ages of people who are involved, you'll be very disappointed. These are children, some of them are only about 13, 12, but they are members of a cooperative. That is why in my suggestion, Madam Speaker, I am saying, if we formed these district child labor committees and we engaged headmen, we engaged chiefs, and we brought in the church and also brought in the civil societies, Madam Speaker, it will be very easy to bring this matter of child labor to a talking table and people will listen and they will remove politics out of this matter, just like today we're able to talk about early child marriages. Madam Speaker, I support the motion and I thank you.
Thank you. We have to make progress. The Honorable Minister of Energy will respond. Is it the Minister? Sorry about that. The Honorable Minister of Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me start by thanking your committee for the work done in the production of this report and highlighting the pertinent issues around the very important subject of child labor. Child labor is of great concern to this government as it is negatively affecting the growth and development of our children. Currently, over 490,000 children are engaged in child labor activities. Children who are supposed to be the future of this nation. Madam Speaker, we take note of the committee's recommendation on the implementation of child labor activities by the government. The government, through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, has undertaken the following interventions to address child labor in the country. Number one, following Cabinet approval in principle to amend the Employment Code Act number 3 of 2019, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security has been given the opportunity to harmonize legislation that speaks to child labor. Number two, the ministry has been engaging the Ministry of Finance and National Planning for Treasury Authority to expand the establishment and increase budgetary allocation towards child labor. This is because we have noted that one of the key aspects that affects the implementation of activities for prevention of child labor is the inadequate staff in the inspectorate. Number three, Madam Speaker, in an effort to strengthen coordination of activities among various stakeholders, the ministry has reactivated the National Child Labor Steering Committee and is in the process of establishing more district child labor committees. Number four, the ministry has been rolling out the labor market information system to all districts where we currently have presence. The labor market information system is designed to be a one-stop point for all labor market information, including child labor. In addition, the ministry has established a monitoring and evaluation unit to enhance information management and use for decision-making. Madam Speaker, the fight against child labor is not for the Ministry of Labor, Social Security alone, but requires concerted efforts by all, including parliamentarians, to help fight this vice. The government has put in place enablers to fight child labor, such as free education policy and support under the Constituency Development Fund. Therefore, I urge all members of this august House to be our ambassadors in the fight.
Honorable Minister, as the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes.
Television, Community Development and Social Services Minister there, Honorable Doreen Mwamba, adding a voice to a motion that has been moved by Pambashe MP Mr. Shitotela and seconded by Solwezi East lawmaker Mr. Katakwe, urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters on the report of the Auditor General on the government measures to reduce instances of child labor in Zambia for the period 2018 to 2022 for the third session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 28 November 2023.
And so when the House resumed the sitting this afternoon at 14:30 hours, Madam First Deputy Speaker did make one announcement in which she said that she did receive communication to the effect that in the absence of one of the Vice President who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 5th December 2023, until further notice.
And in line with that, Madam First Deputy Speaker did make another announcement that in the absence of the Chief Whip, Mr. Jamba, who is a lawmaker for Mwembeshi constituency, has been appointed to act as the Chief Whip until further notice.
Thereafter, Madam First Deputy Speaker did permit the Minister of Agriculture